So you have the Colorado Revised Code, and then you have KRS, CRS, Kentucky's KRS, Colorado's CRS. You have the hierarchy of laws. You got the federal constitution, the state constitution, and sometimes you have city constitutions and or charters. And then those are where all the laws come from. All the laws spring from the wellspring of the Constitution. And then you have the code. And then the code is what the laws, the legislature writes. So you have the fundamental laws, the constitutional laws. You got a federal code, you got a state code, and then you have local code. So in the state code of Colorado, it is a duty to make a citizen's arrest if you see a crime. So let's go through some of this, okay? So CRS 16-3-201. A person who is not a police officer may arrest another person when any crime has been or is being committed by the arrested person in the presence of the person making the arrest. So in the presence means you have to be present. You have to actually observe the acts that are criminal, not someone told you, but you saw it with your own eyes. And then as a private citizen, it says that a person who is not a peace officer may arrest another person when any crime has been or is being committed by the arrested person. So when any crime has been committed in Pueblo City, you know how you piss a Puebloan off? You piss a Puebloan off by planting a sunflower. They hate sunflowers. That's why they banned sunflowers for 100 years now. They're going to keep the ban on sunflowers going. Just like this stupid-ass war on drugs, they love carrying on really stupid ideas. They hate sunflowers because they hate beautiful flowers. They hate beautiful things. It's a nuisance to them. What? That's a beautiful flower? What a nuisance. But goat heads, you know how you make a Pueblo Cityan happy? You plant a goat head, and they love that. They love them goat heads. They collect goat heads. They got acres and acres and fields of goat heads. They have parks. That's been the children's playgrounds. That's where they raise most of their plant. You want to, you know how you make a Puebloan happy? You plant a goat head in a children's playground. They love that. They love it. You know how to piss off a Puebloan person? Insult David Krockenberg, the most popular politician they've ever had in their entire lives. So, that's amazing. That's citizen's arrest it's a duty. In Colorado, it's a duty. So, there's a point to this. Back in the Wild West, you only had small towns. You only had a limited amount of people. So, if, the men were out, whatever, rustling cattle or whatever the fuck they were doing, and there was a crime that had happened in a small town with 5 houses and, 5 individuals, well, how come, Bob, why did you just watch him? You saw somebody come from out of town, go into that person's house, grab some shit, and then walked away, and you didn't do nothing? You didn't tell him to stop. You didn't ask no questions. You didn't fire off a gun. You didn't say, you didn't ask nothing, right? Just let it happen, right? So the point was, in the Wild West, because there's only so many people, we're all in this thing together. And there is actually something to that when it comes to morality and justice. It's hard for me to witness something without me doing something about it if I don't believe it to be right. I make a mockery of my own conscience if I don't do something that I see that is clearly wrong. And we become accustomed to injustice, like the homeless. You walk past the homeless, so many times you might give a shit in the beginning, but then afterwards, you might start rationalizing, well, it's their damn fault, and then you start hating them. So, a citizen's arrest in Colorado is a duty. 16-3-201. A person who's not a peace officer may arrest when any crime has been or is being committed. So if you see a neighbor with growing some sunflowers, you've got to arrest him. You have to. It's a duty. And sunflowers are illegal in Pueblo City. So if you're going to have laws, why you have laws if you're not going to enforce them? You could change the laws, right? If you're legislature, you could change those laws. But if you're not going to enforce the laws, why have the law? So that's George Brockler. George Brockler says you have to enforce the laws that are on the books. Of course, you got discretion. Everybody has discretion. But those are laws, and they're on the books for a reason. And if you don't like the law, you change it. You amend it. You overturn it. You get rid of it. Somehow you do something with it if you don't like the law. That's how our system works. So if there's laws on the books, take them off the books. And if they're on the books, you got to enforce them. That guy has sunflowers, you need to beat the shit out of him and throw him in jail. You think that's crazy? I think it's crazy that the war on drugs, you're allowed to beat the shit out of people. Hey, there's a worthless piece of shit heroin addict just, shooting up needles. Well, let's beat the shit out of him and throw him in jail. That'll help. Oh, yeah, great fucking solution. Don't we have a right to our own bodies? I think so. I think it's a natural, inherent right. I got a right to my body. And yet, if I was drinking bleach, nobody would even stop me or arrest me or beat me up. That's legal. You can totally drink bleach. You just can't smoke a joint in 40 states or, other of the hard drugs and the marijuana states. So, that's citizen's arrest is legal. And I'm saying it's a duty, so let me carry on with the rest of the laws, okay? So, 16.3202, a peace officer, the only one who is allowed to use force in our society. The state has a monopoly of violence, and our state officials are the only ones that have a license to kill. But they can ask anybody else to assist them in an arrest. So whereas as a citizen, we're allowed to arrest somebody, the thing we got to be worried about as citizens is excessive violence, excessive force. You can only arrest them, and then once they're done, once you've subdued them, if they're not moving, you can't keep beating them up. You can't just hit people just to be hitting people because you like the sadistic feel of power over on someone else. But anyways, when a peace officer, right, the only ones that are allowed to use violence, peace officers, the only ones with the license to kill, peace officers, can ask anybody else to assist them in an arrest. So a citizen has the power to arrest directly. They got police powers. They got the same powers that the police officer has. So they go from just having a citizen's power to arrest to having a police officer's power to arrest. And they could just arrest for anything, for no reason, right? And they also can shoot somebody if they feel threatened too. And private citizens who act in good faith are immune to civil liability. So a police officer comes to town, hey guys, you guys are here, and we need you. And then the guy, hey Bob, you go ahead and you get the gun, right? You're deputized. Citizen Bob, you're deputized. And then he goes and just shoots the people. Well, he's actually, if he was acting in good faith, he's immune to any civil liability. So this is, the cops are, have a special place. They're above. If the police officers had been in my situation when I was living in Bessemer, they would have arrested that guy who was beating up the woman, and they would have been hailed as a hero. In Louisville, if there was a crazy driver about to run over a police officer, cussing at the police officer, jumps out in the middle of the street and comes towards the police officer, he would have defended himself, been hailed as a hero. And yet, when you listen to that, it sounds crystal clear to you now, doesn't it? But then when I say, hey, this shit happened, you're like, I don't know, because you're so smart. You're so discerning. God, you're so smart. 18-1707, if a private citizen doesn't help a cop arrest another person, then they have committed a Class 1 petty offense, refusing to aid a peace officer. So it is a duty to citizen's arrest if a cop tells you to. You could actually be charged with a Class 1 petty offense, the smallest one, tiny little teensy tiny charge. But if a cop says, hey Bob, I need you to go help me with this, and Bob says, no, I refuse. That is my brother. I will not fight my brother. You cannot make me. Then he could get a Class 1 petty offense charged later on if they, I guess, don't think it's a good excuse. So a citizen has the power to arrest anytime they see a crime and anytime they observe a crime that is being committed or has been committed. So I saw blah, blah, blah do the thing. So then that means you can come back and arrest them. As long as you witnessed it for yourself. Okay? Then also a citizen basically has to, you'll get a tiny little charge. If a cop tells you to arrest or chase or do some sort of duty to go after a person and you don't do it, you get a tiny little charge, but you have the citizen's arrest powers, you have the cop arrest powers. So actually you go from super citizen to super citizen cop. 18.8.107, if a citizen ordered by a cop to arrest another can even murder the perpetrator or the jaywalker or the person raising sunflowers. Or actually goat heads are illegal, but they grow on the ground, so the code enforcers don't see how they grow up. So they just stay on the ground real close. So none of the law enforcers see these damn savages. So if a citizen thinks that the use or imminent use of deadly force is about to be used against the police officer or the citizen or against another completely innocent third party, then you could shoot and murder the person. But only if the citizen was ordered by the cop to murder the perp. But the cop didn't have that authority the citizen still gets immunity. So if some constable comes up and, from another state and says, you got to do this, you got to shoot that man, and you shoot that man thinking that he was a cop, he's to blame. The citizen will get away with murder. They'll get away with up to shooting people. So not only does the citizen, can they arrest, somebody that the cop tells them to go arrest, but they could shoot somebody, even if it wasn't a cop that told them to do it. So when the police gives that power to the citizen, that's a very important thing. It's a huge gift by the police officer, but that's because there's something that's happening. And again, in the Wild West, we all, if there's one person robbing, old Joe and Sally Ann, what are we going to just let Joe and Sally Ann get robbed by the, crazy cowboys that came from out of town? No, we're in this shit together. So we have to fight every time they do some shit like that, or, let them rob us and just go somewhere else to where we could actually be safe. So either run or fight. Those are the choices. So a citizen who needs to arrest somebody, prevent an escape of a person who's been arrested, has to use reasonable and appropriate force. So that's important. You can't have excessive violence. There's official misconduct. I just want to say that, like, what can the cops can get excessive force charges. They can have official misconduct charges against them too. So you have to use reasonable and appropriate force. You're chasing the guy down, you tackle him, you hold him down, you put handcuffs on him, you're sitting him right there, he's not moving, he's mostly arrested, right? You should probably put a chain, tie him around a pole, and then he's completely arrested. He could go nowhere. And then just sit by and call the police, wait for the police to get there, and then put him in jail. So that's the power of a citizen. It must be reasonable and appropriate force, and a citizen can only kill if they think they're about to be killed, or the cop or some innocent is about to be killed. So in the defense of the life of another is the only time a citizen can kill anybody. So that's different than self-defense, because that's self-defense for others, right? So self-defense and going after a criminal or crime in progress are like two completely different things. So, yeah, cops are relegated to their own jurisdiction. So in some respects, each and every Coloradan citizen can arrest anybody anywhere in the nation. Cops can only arrest in the city or in the county or in the state that they're in, but each and every American citizen can arrest anybody anywhere. You see a crime that's happening, grab them, nab them, right? Put them on a pole, put handcuffs on them, put a chain around them, and put them around a post, a telephone pole, and then wait for the cops to get there. Every American has that right. So in a way, in some respects, cops actually have less power than the citizens. But, so if a man punches a woman at a bar, then another man has a right to arrest that first man using reasonable and appropriate force, call the cops, and then have the cops handle the man from there. The man in Bessemer that was beating up the woman, I could have arrested him, held him there, and then waited for the police to get there. But I think the police would have said, hey, you can't do that. What are you doing? What are you up to? Why are you doing this? Well, it's Colorado law, And, yeah, citizen is even immune from arrest they committed when a cop or somebody dressed like a cop ordered them to help out illegally. But officer, I just did what that fake cop over there told me what to do. Well, then get the hell out of here. That's fine then. That fake cop over there was ordering me around, so he's to blame. You thought he was a cop. You're, operating in good faith. You killed all those people, but get the hell out of here. Self-defense threshold is higher than a citizen's arrest threshold is. So for self-defense, one must believe that physical force is going to be used against them. For a citizen's arrest, any crime that's committed in another person's presence can be justified. A citizen's arrest can be justified. So a citizen's arrest can be justified if you see the crime and they're stealing, if they're raising sunflowers, if they have goat heads, which are illegal in Pueblo City, even though they stay on the ground because they're real sneaky. They just stay on the bottom there. Nobody pay, they only, people get mad if the weeds are real tall, so they don't see how these goat heads are just sprawling on the ground and spreading their disease and their, sickness all over the place. So this is Colorado, and I was wanting to just kind of check out their vigilante, stand your ground, castle law. They do have castle law here. They don't have stand your ground. They have citizens arrest law, so that's vigilante law. False arrest, so you could, be charged with false arrest. Excessive force, cops could be charged with false arrest too. False imprisonment, false arrest, excessive force, official misconduct. So they don't have any stand your ground laws. You don't have a duty to retreat, because you don't ever. But you can't explicitly murder somebody who is trying to hurt you. So, well, yeah, you do. Wait a second. Self-defense, if you think that they're trying to hurt you, stand your ground just means you don't have a duty to retreat. You're standing in the middle of a street and a car is driving right towards you. You do not have to get out of the way. You know, even if it looks like they're about to run, they're trying to be intimidating, they're trying to be big, and they're coming right for you. You could just stand your ground. This is city streets. I'm a taxpayer. I'm allowed to sit right here. Maybe on a sidewalk or something, I don't know. But the streets, it is our streets. But Occupy, we learned it was the cops' streets, not the government's, but the cops. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that Colorado, stand your ground. They don't have explicit stand your ground. In Florida, they explicitly says that if somebody is coming towards you, then you're allowed to do something. You're allowed to, what? Florida stand your ground law, a person who is not engaged in an unlawful activity anywhere can meet force with force. So if a person is trying to come into an occupied vehicle or your home or dwelling, such as your tents, you could fight using force up to the point of killing if need be. So if someone wants to use violence, you could use violence, force with force, and if you think they're going to, you know, so that's self-defense and stand your ground. So stand your ground says that you could do that if you're out and about, but they're saying very specifically in your vehicle, your home, or dwelling. So that would be in Colorado. You have castle law. If somebody comes up in your house, if an intruder comes in your house, comes up onto your porch, castle law, you're allowed to blow them away. If they're in your vehicle, or if you're in your tents, you could actually defend yourself too. That would be more, you have to videotape this, right? Who's going to believe you? And then you could use force up into the point of murder in order to defend yourself in Florida. So they specifically say if you're out in the middle of the streets, you could defend yourself. Whereas in Colorado, you don't have a duty to retreat. You're in the middle of the street. What the hell are you doing in the middle of the street? If you're in the middle of the side, what the hell are you doing in the middle of the street? And then there's also something about the flow of commerce too. You can't, so yeah. Colorado doesn't explicitly have stand your ground laws, even though it's kind of inherent. It's kind of natural rights. And I don't believe, fuck George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin had the right to stand his ground. He was being followed. He was the one being followed, and then he got attacked. So he had a right to stand his ground. Now, you can't explicitly murder someone who tries to hurt you, like Florida stand your ground. So you don't have a duty to retreat in Colorado, but I think you could, up to the point of, if someone's going to use force against you, that a fight can go out of control really quickly. So I would think that violence is just off the table completely. And if it does come up on the table, if somebody lays their hands on you, that should be the last thing that they ever do. So I think Kentucky's got a little bit better vigilante, stand your ground, castle laws than Colorado, but Colorado has enough. You could defend yourself or others, or to stop arson, 18-1903. 18-1-9013G, 18-1-7043. So physical force could be used in defense of property, 18-1706. And we don't have a retreat. We don't have a duty to retreat from any place we have a lawful right to be. So if you have a lawful right to be in the street, if you have a lawful right to be in the sidewalk or on a private property or in a bar, or wherever the hell you are. So, yeah, that means if you have a lawful right to be there and someone's trying to come up to you to intimidate you, to use violence against you, then you can meet force with force. You could use intimidation with intimidation up to the point of murder. So it seems like we do have stand your ground laws in Colorado because it's just common sense. Of course you do. If someone's attacking you, you have to defend yourself. And you have to run away no matter what. That's what that dispatcher in Pueblo City told me. Right? Oh, what? The criminal is out there in the yard staring at you? Well, you can't stand in your own yard. You better go inside. I don't have a duty to retreat. I don't have to listen to you. You're trying to like diffuse the situation or whatever. And I guess maybe that's important, but you need to get the perpetrator. You need to stop the criminals. If they feel like the cops are a joke and they don't, so it's just, order should be the easiest thing for cops. Yeah, we establish order. Okay, if that's their only justification, but I want more than just that. I want them to actually start getting justice too. Order is fine, but they're not even getting in order. They're not even making, they're scared of the criminals, so they're going after the lawful people. Oh, what, you pulled over when I turned on my lights? Oh, that other guy ran away? Well, fuck, I can't catch him. Let him go. But this other asshole that submitted to my authority, I will ticket the shit out of him. So yeah, that's Colorado's castle, stand your ground, vigilante, citizens arrest laws. I guess last thing because I was saying about how the Wild West, there used to be small towns and it was a duty to arrest the felony, mostly, big crimes, right? So if they're stealing a bunch of stuff out of you, putting it in a wagon, robbing a bank, murdering, shooting people, you gotta do something. You gotta do something about it, right? So, I mean, I guess you could say you were scared. Maybe even small stuff. Maybe it was, I don't know. Okay. There's a home rule city in Conejo called Sanford, and in Sanford, it's a home rule city, but it's a population less than 1,000, but they got their own cops and they got their own municipal judge. Recently, they're all pissed off about crime. They're blaming the crime on marijuana. You got all this marijuana coming in here. Now all these druggies are coming in here. Now people are getting robbed. Now, what happened to the small town? Sanford is a very tiny town, population less than 1,000, and, so that would be perfect. This vigilante law, these citizens arrest, it's a duty. So the whole community gets together. They pinpoint the person that's stealing other people's stuff. And then they all stop that person from doing it. And they got the power to do that. Sanford, like I said, is a home rule city. So they have their own judge. They got their entire judicial branch all to themselves. They got their own police officers. They got their own judicial branch. So the city, the little, little township of Sanford, they are their own judge, jury, and executioners. They can arrest you, they can get you before a judge, and then they can sentence you without you ever leaving their jurisdiction. They are a home rule city. They got their own judge, they got their own police officers. So why are they bitching about the crime? They're saying the sheriff needs to get his ass and his people down there, and he's kind of like, I don't have the money to do all that. But they got their own police officers. Their own police officers need to be nicer, go around talking to people, have community policing, and they have their own judge. The judge, does he even live in the damn town? If he doesn't live in the town, fire him and then get a brand new judge in there. But if you're worried about crime, you look at your own police officers, look at your own judicial branch, because if we have a citizen's duty to citizens arrest these criminals, then that means everybody in Sanford is deputized when a crime is in progress, or if you witnessed a crime, or if a cop says you have the power to arrest somebody. So then you are deputized to therefore. So we have a duty. We have a duty. If there's crimes, if there's people, I hate that they're blaming marijuana on this. Marijuana is only a gateway drug because you all fucking lied about. You said that it was like heroin and crack, you lying pieces of shit. So when you find out that the elder generation has been lying about marijuana, what the fuck else have they been lying about? Oh, okay, all the rest of it was okay, but marijuana, they flat out fucking lied about it. Just like God, just like democracy, just like, a bunch of other shit. Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy. So, yeah, you're saying marijuana is like fucking crack? Fuck you, you piece of shit. What, Schedule 1 substance? You think you have a right to if I smoke a joint, you think it's right to use violence against me? Fuck you. Fuck you. You're the criminal, you piece of shit. So, yeah, all the people in Sanford, they can handle their own crime. Sanfordians can arrest the guy, hold them until the cops get there. They can get their cops to throw him in jail, then get their judge to sentence him, or have a jury trial or what have you. And then that's it. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. So the citizens just need to be informed and educated of the power that they already have. They need better communication between the police officers and the judicial branch, the judge, the municipal judge. There's one judge there. He comes there once a month. I don't even know if he lives there or not. They just all need to be on the same page. So they need to have better communication with their own judicial branch, their own criminal justice system, their own police officers, and the citizens need to be educated. So there needs to be better communication between their own government and the judicial branch, and they need some education because they're allowed to go after the perpetrators themselves. And if the cops aren't enforcing justice, then it's up to us to enforce justice. And I wish I lived in a society that allowed that. And ultimately, I guess it comes down to a jury of your peers. Do you believe a jury of your peers will look at this situation and agree with you or agree with the other person? And so if I defend myself, I guess I have to, I wish I had video cameras. I'm at a point now where if you put a video camera on me, body cam, dash cam, videotape my entire life. I do not go around hurting people, but people are shitty and shit pops off so fucking quick. So quick. Just two recent things real quickly. There's 3 people, they're sitting there just staring at me like a bunch of weird, creepy fuckers. I'm sitting here cooking some pork chops, and then I just turned around, they were sitting there staring at me, and then I was staring at them, they're staring at me, and then finally I just waved, and then they turned their back. So it was like, What a bunch of fucking pricks. It made me feel stupid and humiliated because I did something nice. I was like, oh, they're my friends. Hi, friends. And then they pretended that they weren't staring at me. They were looking at me like I had done something. I hadn't done shit. They were the ones fucking staring for no reason. So I feel like, in hindsight, I just want to be like, what the fuck were you all staring at? What the fuck are you staring at? Huh? Instead of being nice, I give them a olive branch, and then they're just psychos. So fuck them psychos. You can't even wave to me. You're staring at me, and I wave to you. You can't even fucking wave back, you weird fuckers. And then another thing happened where this dog was barking at me, and then I tapped the horn a couple times, and then it kept barking. It's used to sleeping right here, but I paid for this spot. I'm going to stay here in this spot. I don't care what fucking dog wants to come up onto this. It used to be nice. It used to be real nice, but when you add some people into the mix, then, a dog barking, and shit can pop off quickly. Dog barking is, hey, I'm going to fucking eat you, I'm going to bite you, I'm going to do something to you. But sometimes you need that, but then sometimes it's just too fucking much. If you're all by yourself, you want the dog to bark at anybody and everybody because you're so scared, so better be safe than sorry. But who the fuck wants to live in a society where everybody gets barked at? And what, you want to go for a nice Sunday stroll? Too bad. You're going to get threatened and, maybe viciously attacked if the owner left the gate open. And then what do you do when that happens? A dog comes after you? You have a right to do this with humans. I don't see why you wouldn't have a right to do it with dogs. If a dog comes after you, meaning like they're going to do harm, you have a right to kick that dog and fight that dog and beat that dog off of you. And for some reason, I feel like in Pueblo City, a jury of my peers, the liberals, they cared more about animal rights than they did about, people rights. And then the conservatives, they don't really care about nobody. So what the fuck? A jury of my peers? Am I allowed to defend myself against a pit bull, against a man, against anybody? Am I allowed to defend myself against? Please, society, am I allowed to defend myself against? I am. I'm not going to ask you. Fuck you. That's the question isn't who's going to allow me to do it. The question is who's going to stop me. I'm a good man. I don't go around hurting people. I'd like to establish my own business. So who's going to stop me? You don't like what? That I'm quiet and peaceful. I'm expressive. I have a sense. I got an awareness about me. I'm conscious. I'm politically aware. If you're just pissed off that I'm aware, I think there's a problem with you, not me. So there you go, Colorado. You do have a right to arrest anybody you want to as long as they're committing a crime. Make sure you got the statutes right there too, because that would be intense to arrest somebody, then call the police, and then to see what happens. Because I got rope. I don't have chain or handcuffs. But it seems like every Coloradan should have handcuffs and a chain, because you never know. You never know in the Wild West, right? So, till next time, peace out, world.